All right, now we got a real world example. Number 3, we got something talking about gardening. We got Hector is measuring a boundary of his new garden. He wants the garden to be square. So that's a key word here. So let's underline that, mark it. Okay. Square. We talked about the rules of a square and the fact that they have the same thing as a rhombus, except for now we have 90-degree angles on this stuff. So he has set out each of the corner stakes at 6 feet apart, and they're already marked on here on the screen. Okay, what does Hector need to know to make sure that the garden is square? Well, first of all, we know that all sides are congruent. Okay. Opposite sides are congruent, and the garden is called a parallelogram. So if all the opposite sides are congruent, we're good with that, okay? Since the consecutive sides are congruent, I don't know if we talked about that rule yet, but I know there's another video that's going to come up here pretty soon that you're going to go through. So when we talk about consecutive sides, we are talking about this side, okay, that we'll get in red, and then this side over here, because they're next to each other, they're considered to be consecutive. Now, because they're consecutive sides, that makes it a rhombus, okay? So Hector needs to know the diagonals are congruent. So how do we find out the diagonals are congruent? Well, we can draw a line in here, and we can use Pythagorean's theorem to figure that out. Okay, so if I were to draw a line here, straight through, we have 6 here, 6 here, and we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We know that a squared, so the 6 and the 6 are your a and your b, so we're going to go 6 squared plus 6 squared equals c squared, which is our hypotenuse. So we get 36 plus 36, which gives us 72. And then we take the square root of that, okay? So we do the same thing there, okay? So we know this is a square root of 72, so we can do the same thing. We know that's going to end up being the same thing if I go to the diagonal this way, okay? Because again, finding out Pythagorean's theorem, we can say the exact same thing on this side because of that. So that means this one is also the square root of 72. Now, because we know that the diagonals are congruent, it says by Theorem 6.20, it says Hector needs to know that the diagonals are congruent. Then if it is a rectangle, okay, then by Theorem 6.20, if a quadrilateral is a rectangle and a rhombus, then it is a square. So we found out that this is true for this. So that's the biggest thing. So you can go back and look at the picture. If I had it here in front of me, let me see if I can find it. Where are we at here? It is this one right here. I'm going to open it up real quick. So it's this one here. So we know it's at a square. So if it's a rectangle and a rhombus, then we know that it's a square. Now you can't really see that one very well or not, but that's where it goes on that, and that's how we figured that out. Okay. All right. If you have any questions, you can always message me through Teams.